First of all, I will talk about the author, Harold Pinter. He was a novel British director and actor, and he born in October 10 in 1930, and he died in December 24 in 2008. Okay. His affinities was with an important movement, the theater of the absurd, and he works was based in Frank Kafka, a great impression painter. Harold Pinter is a poet of contemporary language, and obviously the language of his characters, communicative of the human condition. So the room is Harold Pinter's first play, writing and first produced in 1957. Is considered by critics the earliest example of Pinter's comedy. It's a characteristic that it passed in the mid 20th century. It's like an English tragic comedy. Okay, so the play set in a small room. Rose is the woman and Bert is the man. In this first scene, Rose have a one-person dialogue with her husband Bert, who stay all the time in silent, and he only was eating his breakfast and made another activities. So in this picture, he was only eating his breakfast and reading a book. So here Rose talked mostly about the cold weather, and she compared it with the warm roof. And if she stayed there, she feels all the time warm and safe. She talks and acts always moving from one place to another in the room, and she has a chair in a rocking. It's like a rocking chair. Okay. While everything happens, Mr. Kid, the old landlord, enters in the room and he talked to Bert, the husband, but he never answered anything. So Rose respond all the question. Principally, the landlord asked him when he is going to leave the room. So the dialogue between Rose and Mr. Kid consists of many topics that change very frequently. One of them was if Mr. Kid had babies and about her sister, etc. Something very curious is that a couple was reviewing the whole building, and at the moment they were in front of the room of Rose and Bert, she opened the door and she asked them what they are doing. So the couple was Mr. and Mrs. Hans. Rose invited them into the room and they told her they were looking for a flat. The problem was that Mr. Kid offered to the Sons the room of Rose, so she was very confused. After that, after Mr. and Mrs. Sands leave the room, Mr. Kid appeared again, and Rose claims for her room. But then the conversation changed the course, and they start talking about a particular man that spent a lot of time in the basement. Finally, a black man, blind, called Riley, appeared in the room, and Rose asked all the time him a lot of questions about what he wanted. She stayed a lot of time making a dialogue, and then Riley said that he appeared to give her a message of her father, but she didn't accept that, and she acts very bad and confused. But when Bert entered to the room and after talk a little, he hit Riley with a bottle in his head, and Rose explained sadness and she couldn't see. She cried all the time because it was terrible for she. Thanks, that's all.